Welcome to this week's market update. We're going to talk all things Bay Area real estate. I'm here with the one and only Rob McCarthy. It's good to see you, Rob.
Good to see you, buddy.
Man, it's we're getting some summer weather, huh?
It is so hot. It's like 100 in the backyard. I'm so happy I have a pool.
Oh, dude, I'm jealous. I wouldn't be on this call if I were at your place.
You know, it's crazy with shelter in place, Noah. I have not been on a pool in, I don't know, I mean, like a swim pool to do laps in months. And a buddy of mine, who's an avid swimmer, went out and got a wetsuit. He's swimming off of a lighthouse point over in Santa Cruz. And I'm like, I'm not that brave, but hey man,
Yeah.
you know, I pulled over the cover. I'm going, okay, it takes me about twice as long to do the same distance in the pool, but hey, at least I got a pool.
It's good, and getting that exercise. I do it running.
Yeah.
Which on a day like today, you got to get out in the morning. But
Brutal.
my wife, my son, and I go for a run every day, and to get that exercise when we're inside is really essential.
And you know, it's classic, Noah. Like on a day like this, right? Usually by what time is it right now? It's what, almost 2:30. So my office in my house faces the front of the house, right? And I get to see the street. And usually by this time, there would be like 20, 30 people that have walked by. I haven't seen a soul out today because it's so hot.
Oh,
but
well,
you know,
that's where you got the pool, man.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So, anyways.
Well, cool. I'm excited to talk about what's been happening in the market. I mean, Rob and I we talk, fairly regularly about what we're seeing, collaborating to stay just up to speed on the latest. And so we wanted to cover a little bit about unemployment, the real estate market, the mortgage market. Do you want to dive in and start with what you're seeing with unemployment? You had brought that up earlier.
Yeah. So unemployment is a big determining factor of what's going to happen with real estate. Every buyer, I'm sure you're on your side as well. Buyers, borrowers, they're all talking about like, hey, how is COVID? How is shelter in place going to affect the market? Because, so many of us haven't really been able to work, gainfully work. When they say like, I think it's like 52% of Americans are self-employed, meaning they're small businesses, and those businesses have been shut down for a length of time, specifically in, the Bay Area. I mean, I don't know, I lose track of how long it's been, but I think we're past 60 days now. And hopefully it opens up on June 1st and doesn't get extended. The poor guys down in LA, they've been pushed, originally it was July 1st, now they're talking September 1st. And what's crazy is unemployment numbers came out, a couple of weeks ago, but they don't actually get released to the Bureau of Labor Stats until about 3 weeks later. And so we're all kind of waiting to see, what's going to happen, because if the unemployment numbers are high, that means, there's going to be a slowdown of the economy. And so like we knew, like there were three states that hit 20%, Michigan, Nevada, and Hawaii. With shelter in place, if shelter's in place still in those areas, they're in for a rough ride. Yeah. So like in the Bay Area, hopefully they lift it June 1st, right? Hopefully, there's, obviously we have to be safe with COVID-19, but we're kind of waiting to see what happens, right? Because unemployment back in February was at 2.9, then it went to 5.3. And with our inventory being so low, it's no big deal, right? The market's still strong. But we'll see what happens when the April numbers, they haven't been released. I was hoping today on Monday or Tuesday they'd be released. They haven't been released. What's interesting is my gut tells me is that LA, which is more of kind of a tourist or tourism-based economy / entertainment-based economy, I think that's one of the reasons they're getting hammered, right? Because those have been shut down completely. The Bay Area is more tech heavy, right? And so when you have companies like Apple Computers that has $116 billion in cash, if there are rough waters, they can stomach through them pretty easily, right? Even with all the employees they have. And it's interesting, like even today, I think the stock market went up 500 or 600 points. And it's all tech that's doing this, right? It's not transportation, it's not tourism, it's not hospitality. Those are the big areas that have been whacked. And so we're waiting to see what the numbers come up with, because, like if they're 20, I hate to say it, but we're headed towards a correction. Yeah. But if they're below that number, what's the number? No one has a crystal ball, 10, 12, we might be okay for a while. So we'll see. We'll see.
No, I think it's a really good point. And I'm curious when the updated numbers come out, as I'm sure most of us are, what those will look like.
Yeah.
And, I've had conversations with other professionals in the Bay Area around the same idea, that if, the economy and local employment numbers stay fairly high and unemployment lower, then chances are that, coupled with low interest rates and low inventory, really low inventory in the housing market, that we'll probably see, won't see big shifts. But I think to your point, right, if we do see those unemployment numbers skyrocket, then that could, be a foreshadowing to some shifts in the housing market.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, man. It'll be interesting to see.
Do you want me to show you that graph that I've been following? Here, I'll share my screen real quick. I'm gonna pull it up there. Yeah, here it comes. Can you see that there?
Yep.
All right. So basically, this is one of the things that stopped me. So, like everybody that's been sheltering in place, right? We've all been watching the news, right? And, it's interesting. There's a lot of news out there when it comes to these kind of numbers, what I call misinformation. I always say, a newspaper or some type of media publication, they're in the business of selling news, right? And so I can't comment on which source was, but last month, they're talking unemployment's hitting 20%. Unemployment's not 20%. It's not 20% in the United States. It's like 15.3 right now. So when they say it's 20%, people react in a very negative way. And it's like, these journalists need to be, more data driven. And so instead of relying on CNN or the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, what I've done is I went to this website called the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, right?
Yeah.
And so when you go there, it's kind of neat. What it does is you can pull up by state. So here are all the different states here, right?
Yeah.
I'll use an example. I won't look at California for right now. Let's talk about maybe Hawaii. So here's Hawaii, okay? And I'm interested. I want to know what the unemployment numbers were, say, for February, okay, of 2020. So I just hit this little draw map, and it shows me like, okay, unemployment was at the high of say 3.3 all the way down to 2.5, right? Yep. Then what happened in March? Well, let's see. Unemployment stayed about the same. Yep. Now let's go to April. Let's see what happens in April, because what I found is shelter in place, it takes a while to affect the economy, right? It doesn't affect it overnight. So let's see if these numbers have been updated. Okay, so it's interesting. These numbers haven't been updated either. Yep. But one of the reports that did come out through this website said that unemployment was at 20.3 for Hawaii, Michigan, and Nevada. And most of it, at least for Hawaii and Nevada, was simply because of tourism. So if I go back to California, when I click on this, and let's just go to, again, here's California. Right here, LA is the only one that showed, and right now they're at 20.3.
Yep.
But what's interesting, so if I go the previous month, and then I refresh it, all the places that are furthest away from metropolitan areas, got hammered the most. Okay. As you get further in, when it goes from dark blue to light blue, that's the lowest unemployment. So it's interesting. So like here is San Joaquin County. Again, this is in March, 8.3 unemployment. Yep. Here's Colusa County, 22.4.
Yep.
As I hit, like, say, here's Napa, 4%. Here's Marin, 3%. Here's San Francisco, 3%. Here's Santa Clara, 3.3%. Right? So the numbers are low. So we'll see what happens if the numbers come out in April, whenever they get actually released, because they get released by county. If you look at, if unemployment again is high, like it is in LA, we can definitely be headed towards some type of correction in the market. But if they're not, that coupled with how well the tech companies are doing, right, with the lack of layoffs, they haven't really laid off anybody. There have been some companies where they've reduced pay for a certain period of time, but we haven't seen layoffs. And that with the low inventory in the Bay Area, Santa Clara County as an example, I don't know what it is right now, but about 2 weeks ago, it was less than 1,000 properties available in all of Santa Clara County.
Yeah.
In Santa Clara County, I think it's we have a population of 2.5 million people, right, in Santa Clara County. So you go, okay, there's 1,000 properties available. It's not very many. It's not very many properties, and those are condos, townhouses, and houses.
Totally.
So that'll be an interesting report to see as well. Like, where is inventory right now in relationship to unemployment? So.
No, I think those are really, really good points. And I found it interesting, when you're pointing out the map here, how essentially the Bay Area counties are really in the lowest category there when it comes to unemployment.
Yeah, I mean, they've done studies over the years where they talk about the Bay Area being the perfect real estate market, right? Lack of land, high population, high tech, VC, which is venture capital, biotech, all the support services, all these universities. I mean, think about how many universities we have. I mean, we're not Boston, I think Boston has like 200 universities, but the Bay Area, San Jose State, you got 3 or 4 different community colleges. You got Stanford, Berkeley, San Francisco, UC San Francisco. And so there's a lot of infrastructure. And when you have a high infrastructure and a lack of land, it keeps real estate prices up. That's why real estate here costs so much more than, say, I don't know, Oklahoma or Kansas.
For sure.
Anyways, so yeah, so just some food for thought to think about, where things are, because again, I think what's important, I think when customers are making decisions about buying, yes, buying, there's two ways people buy. They buy subjectively or objectively. Right? When they make any kind of financial decision, objectively is all about the data. Subjectively is how does it make you feel, right? Well, how does it make you feel? It's the data that helps you feel one way or another, right? For example, does one neighborhood have good schools? Does one neighborhood have high crime? Well, it's all about data. So that's how you make decisions, is based on the data. And so just because some consumers would like there to be a correction so real estate prices drop so that homes become more affordable.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's in the cards locally, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, I think it's an important thing to track, right? Especially in our roles, because everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that most buyers are curious and interested in whether the market has shifted yet.
Right.
Or if we've seen signs of that. And like this weekend, I had a few appointments with buyers and talked to them about the reality that we're still seeing multiple offer situations. And, I do a lot of my business in Alameda County, and I mean, Berkeley and Oakland, we're seeing 3, 4, 5 multiple offer situations go down still. So, I think there is something to be said of tracking the fact that we don't really know what a pandemic like this, it's new. And if the longer the economy is halted, the more possibility there is for there to be, like a change in the market if the flow of money is not continuing to move. But 100%. I think the reality is, right, like low inventory, builders have kind of stopped building because of high construction costs and because of the shelter in place. And sellers are not like flooding the market with inventory. Right. I'm still waiting for the most recent data on Bay Area inventory, and I'll probably have it in a few days, so maybe we'll cover it next week. But last month, it was 1.5% was the bottom at San Francisco, which with the least amount of inventory. And I think Napa had 1.5 months worth of inventory.
There you go. Okay.
And Napa had 3.6 months, or 3.5 months. And so, there's just not a lot of inventory, and there's a lot of buyers. And to add to that, I was telling you earlier, a lot of buyers have been at home they were interested in buying a house or considering their search. And then now this catalyzed it because, one, they're thinking, hey, maybe there are going to be opportunities. And two, they've been home being able to surf Redfin, Zillow, Trulia, looking for their dream home. And three, a lot of people are frustrated being in a housing situation that doesn't fit with the fact that most people are starting to work from home now and having to spend a lot of time at home.
Right.
And so that's catalyzed a whole new kind of crop of buyers. And so I think you're right, man. In the Bay Area, I mean, on some level, I represent a lot of buyers. So there's a part of me that would love to see like at least a neutralization of the market so that buyers have more opportunities. And to some degree, I think if I have to bet over the next year, we may see that because we've had such a long run up. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we see continued growth and appreciation based on all the factors we've talked about. So,
exactly.
You know, I'm glad we can talk about this so people can prepare themselves, because I think that's the most important thing, right? Is being informed so people can make educated decisions.
Yeah. This is actually, it's really good. The whole video idea, video series has been a great idea because it's a great way to share information. It's hard for me to have this conversation with each client, whereas if they want to just watch the video, you know, so it's good information out there. I think this is pretty much wrapping it up here. This is great. Appreciate this, Noah.
Yes, I have a lot of respect for, you know, the work you do and for your, you know, experience being in this business.
Hey, you're a rock star too, baby.
Hey, you know, I'm a little more of a whippersnapper, but you know, I'm like the younger brother.
Hey, promise not to beat you up, man.
So hey, that's cool, man. Hey, if I need it, you know, that's sometimes the little brother needs a kick in the butt. So.
Oh, that's good. Well, anyways, have a good week, buddy. And to everyone out there, we'll give another update as soon as these numbers get released with our opinion. And again, just remember, this is just our opinion. You know, at the end, you're the one that needs to make decisions based on, again, the data and kind of how you feel. Have a great week.
Yeah, take care, guys.
See you, buddy.
Thanks for watching.